The SE Dynacaster has founded a dynasty. It's a noble thing to do, it shows character, and the SE Electronics Dynacaster microphone certainly has shown character. More than one, in fact. I have a full video about why it is probably the most versatile dynamic broadcast microphone that probably gives you the most bang for your buck, yet still, it is not cheap at $289 or 245 euros, hence the dynasty, as it now has two other family members. Beside the original Dynacaster, Dynacaster DCM3 and the Dynacaster DCM6, which retain similar basic character yet which are a lot cheaper than the Dynasty founder, which proudly took on the DCM8 moniker now. Let's have a look at how they managed to bring the cost down while switching between these three mics, but before that, I just love these adorable small packages that barely fit the microphone itself. Look at this small detail here, under the padding. The original SE Dynacaster, the DCM8, has three extremely useful features that set it apart from the competition. One is the 3-layer pop filter to eliminate plosives effectively, which it does very well. Second is the built-in EQ switches, a low shelf, a bass boost on the low end, and 2 levels of presence boost in the high end. Altogether giving you 9 different EQ combinations with very different sonic character. This mic can really fit any type of voice, and so it is an ideal beginner or podcast guest microphone. It's very forgiving about mic technique, especially as, thirdly, it has SE's famous Dynamite preamp circuit built in, which is pretty much the same thing as the Cloud Lifter or Fathead mic signal boosters, and it adds 30 decibels of extra clean gain to the otherwise less sensitive dynamic microphone. This allows you not only to use it with practically any audio interface on the market that can provide 48 volts of phantom power, but it also allows you to drop the gain as low as to a level of what normally a condenser mic will require, which will in turn result in a cleaner recording with less preamp noise. So it's all great, and it makes it a very strong contender against the more established mics like the Shure SM7B, the Electrovoice RE320, and also against the pretty new Blue Sona, and it is cheaper than all of them. But it's still nearly $300, and it's quite clear that SE aims to please a wider market by bringing the price down, but it's also clear that they had to cut some of the signature features of the Dynacaster DCM8 to be able to do so. Switching over to the DCM6, we get the same mud black finish with the red accented SE logo and the broadcast look, this time for $169 or euros. A nice drop, and what it loses for it is first the EQ switches. It has the sound that you are hearing right now, and that's it. And also it loses the 3-layer pop protection. Instead, it has 2 layers, which includes the foam windscreen applied by default, which also keeps a nice distance from the capsule as well, with a nice shock mount built in, while the foam windscreen was an optional and a rather bulky extra and a bulky 4th layer for the Dynacaster DCM8. What it has retained from it, however, is the 30 dB Dynamite booster circuit, which you can activate with this little red button here at the bottom of the mic. Pair it with the DCM6 genuinely higher sensitivity, which is minus 52 dB instead of the minus 54 dB on the DCM8, and you have again a microphone that you can pair with really any audio interface or mixer with 48 volts phantom power supply, and you'll get a clean recording. The third member of the dynasty is the DCM3, which is strikingly similar to the DCM6. In fact, they are pretty much the same mics, with the same specs, the same frequency response, dimension and looks, if it wasn't for the tiny little red button in the back of the DCM6, which the DCM3 does not have. That red button is switching the Dynamite booster circuit on and off on the DCM6, and the fact that we can't see it on the DCM3 means that, you've guessed it, we do not have the booster built in there. In exchange, it becomes a $100 microphone only, which is an insanely good price for it. There it only comes down to your personal preference about how they sound. I, for one, like the character of the DCM3 and 6, as they suit well to my anyway lower voice, but if it's not your cup of coffee, then you're out of luck. It is what it is. Whereas on the DCM8, you will certainly find your preference and the best fit amongst one of the 9 possible EQ combinations, or just watch my comparison of it against the SM7B and the RE320 and pick the settings from there. And I would also understand if some voices might not suit the DCM3 or the DCM6, as they both have a quite steep bump in the higher frequencies, starting as low as 1 kHz and reaching about plus 7 decibel boost at around 11 kHz. This is of course tailored to spoken word application, and as long as you are fairly close to the mics, they will give you a nice smiley-faced V-shaped frequency response, which many people tend to favor. But it can also be an issue with sibilance, or may appear harsh and fatiguing on some voices over a longer listening period. Let's do some back and forth comparison on how they sound. Considering the high-end boost in the frequency response, I have left the SE Dynacaster DCM8 with the first high shelf on, and I have switched off the dynamite booster circuit on the DCM6 and the DCM8 as well, so on the ones that have it in the first place. And this is the DCM8, and by the way, I'm running them at their advertised sensitivity value, which is 52 dB for the DCM3 and the DCM6, and 54 dB on the DCM8. Now this is the DCM6 to step down one step only. It has the dynamite circuit built in with the extra 30 dB clean gain, which I have switched off for this comparison. It cost $169, and I have left my gain at its advertised sensitivity level of 52 decibels. But if I would engage the dynamite circuit, I could drop it as low as a mere 22 dB, and this is how it sounds raw with no processing and no booster. And third, this is the $100 DCM3 Dynacaster, which should sound exactly the same as the DCM6, as they are the same microphone with the same specs, only it's a bare bones dynamic mic with no extras like a booster circuit to switch on or off or an EQ to engage. But it is also the cheapest of the three, and this is how it sounds. Now going back in the circle, we're back on the DCM6. Let's check if it sounds the same as the DCM3. No 30 dB booster engaged, no processing, gain at 52 dB, and this is how it sounds. I also have the dynamite circuit in the DCM8 switched off to make it a fair comparison. First high shelf is still on, and this is how it sounds. To me it does sound more full-bodied and less sibilant, but you be the judge of it. Gain at 54 dB, no EQ, no booster, no processing, even though it would be capable of them. Let's make one more last circle back on the DCM6, and this is how it sounds. No booster engaged, 52 decibel of gain, no processing, and let's see if it is any different to the simpler sibling, which is the DCM3, which should sound exactly the same as the bigger brother DCM6 you've heard before, as it is the same microphone only without the dynamite 30 dB booster, gain at the advertised sensitivity level of mere 52 dB, and this is how it sounds. I really like the fact that now people can opt for a Dynacaster at an even lower price, as low as $100. However, in my opinion, and I realize it will not necessarily be a popular one, the best value for money is still the DCM8, the original SE Dynacaster. The stellar pop protection and the super versatile EQ is something that is worth the extra $100 versus the DCM6 in my view. A note before I end this video, of course, consider subscribing if you like this video, but also go and check out other tests about these mics if you are thinking about getting one. My voice and recording environment may not be similar to yours, and luckily there are quite a few really good mic reviewers out there whom I can happily recommend listening to. I'll put some links down below. With that, thanks for watching, and bye for now.